gathered up my belongings and nodded to my two friends. Come on, we'll be late for history! Suzu and Naomi looked at each other before frowning and nodding to me. Naomi and Suzu flanked me as we began to walk to class, away from the gaggle of bullies. As we walked, I could barely see Suzu flipping the middle finger to the group behind us from the corner of my eye.
Friggin' bunch of Lisette feet lickers.
Oh God.
That's gross, Suzu.
Yeah, exactly, Suzu.
It's true. It's all OMG! Lisette is the best! Let's follow her around because we obviously don't have lives.
Naomi and I couldn't help but laugh. The group behind us, however, did not like Suzu's words.
At least my dad doesn't screw around in the black market to keep a stupid casino running.
Oh! Suzu stopped. Naomi and I stopped as well to look back at Suzu, who was completely red in anger. Suzu slowly turned ahead to the group, glaring daggers at them.
The fuck did you just say?
Fuck, man! I had to act fast. I placed my hand on Suzu's shoulder and gripped tightly, knowing she could try to push my hand away. Suzu, they're not worth it. Let's just go.
No, I think it's about time we taught them some manners. Suzu.
Well, if you're gonna do it, I guess I'll be in it with you. I looked at Lisette and her group. Lisette had a widely amused smile on her face, which irked me to no end. Nevertheless, I knew that fighting wasn't going to get us anywhere. Let's go. I grabbed Suzu by the shoulder roughly, pulling her back to Naomi and me. Suzu tried to step towards the group, but Naomi held on to her other shoulder. We held on to Suzu, who fought against our hands as we marched to class. Surprisingly, the rest of the school day went off without another incident. I went to my classes, had lunch, and was anxious to get home. Back to my incubi, baby! As the bell rang for school to end, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. Huh? A text? From Dad? I'll be picking you up today. Make sure you're ready to go when I get there. That's kind of a surprise. I quickly headed back to my locker and got my things before waiting for Naomi and Suzu.
Hey, are you ready to go?
Actually, my dad's picking me up.
Really? Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. We'll drive home together next time. Tell your dad that we've got you covered from now on.
Yeah, alright. Even while I laughed, something didn't seem right. My dad texted me to say this? Why was he going to pick me up? Had I done something wrong? I didn't know. I waved Naomi and Suzu goodbye before heading off to the usual spot where my dad picks me up. I took the time to listen to my music while I waited. I need to go to another Rise of the Phoenix concert. Eventually, I had played the entire album with no one showing up. What the hey? Dad's never late, especially not this late. I quickly dialed my dad's number again, but as soon as I pressed call, it disconnected and read a signal disconnection error message. Oh no! Oh no! Vegeta took our dad! What the? No signal error? How do I not have signal? I double-checked my phone and saw all 5 bars for signal. He must be in a dead zone. Before I could finish, a group of hands grabbed my hands, feet, and covered my mouth. I screamed into the hand over my mouth, struggled to pull away from the hands grabbing at my limbs. It felt disgusting and scary, feeling their hands on me. I needed it to stop.
Hey! Don't dirty up Malix's prey.
I knew it! I called it! The voice, which sent a fearful shiver down my spine, whispered into my ear.
You're coming with me, Miss Anderson.
I couldn't fathom what was happening, but before I knew it, I was blindfolded and my limbs were quickly tied up. I felt myself being carried somewhere and was shoved into something that echoed the interior of a bus or a van. The doors closed and off I was taken, unsure of where I was going and why. Yeah, exactly. Dead zone. all I knew was that I was in trouble. All I saw was darkness. I felt numb as I was taken to a place I didn't know of. I couldn't even move my lips to scream. Sounds zipped past my ears. First the interior of a car, then the outside, then an echoey space with whispers and cackles of people vibrating through it. However, the wrap around my eyes was eventually removed from my face, and my bonds were cut. It took a while for my eyes to adjust, but I found myself in a warehouse, surrounded by devils, including Malix, who was smirking at me. Oh god.
Nicely done! I'm sure those little shits will come running to find you when they realize you didn't return to your precious little mansion. They'll search everywhere for you.
Malix walked over and set the barrel of his gun against the skin between my eyes.
It'll be so funny when they find your dead body instead.
I'm going to call for him. I hope I did the right thing. It looked like, it really looked like that it was timed, so all of a sudden, a bright purple light engulfed the room, causing the devils around me, including Eris and Malix, to cover themselves.
What the?
Gusts of wind rushed past me, almost forcing me back. I covered my face with my arms, bracing myself and standing my ground. I tried to peek through my arms to see what was going on, but the light continued to shine brightly, like a diamond. Yeah! Yeah, you're with me! Yeah! As the gust slowly started to die, the light began to fade, revealing Erik. Erik!
Did you miss me?
However, the seductive smile that graced his lips quickly disappeared as he turned to Malix. As Malix lowered his arm, Erik glared.
You really are evil at its core. Kidnapping an innocent woman like you did? It's disgusting how we demons are confused for your kind.
Look at this little man-whore Erik right here, boys. Might as well sleep with a disease.
The devils around them laughed, including Eris. I felt a twinge of anger, but Erik must have taken it from me and added it to his own. Erik flicked his wrist and arm across his body, producing a small whipping noise through the air. However, Malix hissed and reached for his cheek as if the air had slapped him hard. What the? When Malix removed his hand from his cheek, I stared wide-eyed at the large slash that was revealed on it. A mixture of red and black blood gently dripped from the wound, causing Malix to growl angrily at Erik.
So, pretty boy thinks he has balls, huh? Well, time to make this pretty boy a dead bitch.
Uh-oh. No! Oh god, no! All of a sudden, Malix lifted his gun towards Erik and pulled the trigger. I gasped and tensed up, not believing what I was seeing. As I braced myself for Malix's bullet to embed itself into Erik. However, a large ethereal tendril shot up in front of Erik's body, sprouting from the ground by his feet. Quickly after the bullet evaporated into the tendril, several others appeared, forming a dark purple crown around Erik's body.
What the? What is that?
Did you expect me to come unprepared the second time around? Thanks to my lovely princess, I can now use the full extent of my powers. Unfortunately for you, that means I'm afraid you will lose this fight.
Oh my. We just caused Erik to kick ass.
You cocky little shit!
Malix charged up his energy and began to fire bullet after bullet at Erik in anger. However, the tendrils danced across Erik's body with ease, blocking each one as if they were mere pebbles to a wall. The remaining devils stared, trying to figure out what to do, help Malix or watch in silence. Eris, however, walked up beside me and crossed her arms as she watched with an amused smirk on her face.
Die already!
Erik chuckled before snapping his fingers, causing a row of tendrils to appear behind him, pointing their sharp ends at Malix, who continued to fire bullets at the incubus. Yes, Erik has Cthulhu powers! Yeah! Oh no, tentacle porn. Oh no! Oh god! Why did you make me think that? Oh god! Ah! The tendrils uprooted themselves and floated into the air, straightening out to large spikes, before quickly splintering into multiple thinner spikes. I could only stare, completely lost and intrigued at the sight as Erik whipped his hand across his body again. At Erik's command, the spikes flew at Malix, slashing and stabbing into his body. They were thin, barely making pencil-sized wounds, and only a few went into his body. The others scraped and scratched at his skin as they flew by. This didn't kill Malix, however. Malix growled loudly before charging at Erik, causing the incubus to step back in slight shock. Malix pointed his gun at Erik, closing the distance between them, and fired as the barrel almost reached Erik's face. Instead of the bullet ripping into Erik, a large explosion forced both away from each other. Malix bounced off the far wall and landed on his knees, groaning in pain. Erik, however, slid across the ground, landing on his stomach. Erik! Malix slowly planted a foot into the ground to stand, but froze before doing so, staring at Erik's body. Erik, on the other hand, slowly rose and turned to face Malix head-on. Erik reached a hand up and wiped off a small stain of blood that had painted the side of his lip before growing almost animalistically. Or growling. Whoops, my bad. At that moment, something in the air changed. The air instantly went from frantic to still in energy. What could have been described in tone as the color red quickly turned into a deadly mix of purple and red as everything began to blend together all at once.
How persistent. I guess I'll have to go all out on you to finally rid the world of you.
Was this the extent of demon power? My eyes never strayed from Erik's face, however. Even as it changed, his eyes began to glow a bright golden color as Erik began to walk towards Malix.
Let's end this.
Oh god! Malix aimed his gun and fired at Erik, but the bullet never made its target. As the shot erupted from the barrel, the ethereal tendrils erupted from Erik's back, creating a wing-like barrier from the bullet. Malix stared wide-eyed as Erik's tendrils absorbed the bullet and grew almost larger in size and in number, with each step Erik took. Erik's skin slowly began to morph and shift, changing from human to something else entirely. Something about Erik grew dark and menacing, and his transformation was making him even darker. Wait, what? Why does he say his brother's name and... Oh yeah, why doesn't he? Yeah, exactly, why doesn't he say his brother's name? Seriously, I agree with you. Before I was allowed to see Erik's new form, however, a pair of hands quickly covered my eyes. Instinctively, I reached up and gripped them, trying to pull them off. A voice stopped me.
It's me. Look.
They're here! I listened carefully and let the last two words linger in my mind. Don't look. Why? What was being hidden from me? I wanted to know, but something told me to obey Damien's command. I could hear everything, however. I listened as Malix stood up with a pained grunt before being pushed against the wall with another shout. After that came sounds of flesh ripping and blood spurting, followed quickly by Malix's scream. Oh no! Maybe it was better that I wasn't able to see.
Erik, enough!
Almost instantly after James's command, the sound stopped. The air grew silent as a pair of footsteps slowly made their way to where we were.
I just had to be sure he was dead. No use in letting him have